What if we told you that one of the most seemingly solid couples in the Roloff family, Jacob and Isabel, almost didn't make it? While others in the Roloff clan often grab headlines for drama, Jacob and Isabel have stayed mostly under the radar, quietly building a life off the farm and away from the spotlight. But recently, whispers have been growing louder. Cryptic social media posts, raw emotional reflections, and long silences between updates. Could their love story have hit a breaking point? And if so, what happened behind the scenes? When it comes to the Roloff family, most viewers are familiar with the televised lives of Matt, Amy, Zach, Jeremy, and even the occasional glimpses of Molly. But there's one Roloff who chose a different path, one that led away from reality TV, celebrity endorsements, and public scrutiny. We're talking about Jacob Roloff, the youngest son of Matt and Amy, and his wife, Isabel Roloff. Together, they've crafted a quiet yet deeply inspiring love story that's as rare as it is real. Jacob Roloff, born in 1997, was only 9 years old when Little People, Big World first premiered. Over the years, fans watched him grow up on camera, but it was clear even early on that Jacob had a different energy from his siblings. More introspective, more rebellious, and often skeptical of the fame surrounding the family farm, Jacob began drifting away from the show's central narrative as he entered his teenage years. By 2016, Jacob officially exited the series, citing his growing discomfort with the way reality TV distorts relationships and reality itself. Meanwhile, Isabel Roloff, affectionately known as Izzy, was forging her own path as a creative soul. A writer, poet, artist, and fierce advocate for mental health awareness, Isabel brought a vibrant yet grounded energy that complemented Jacob's deeply philosophical nature. The two first met in their youth but reconnected as young adults, bonding over shared values, mutual trauma, and a deep passion for truth. Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. For Roloff family latest news update, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Their relationship quickly grew into something sincere and strong. In 2018, Jacob proposed to Isabel during a romantic trip to Iceland, a location as adventurous and free-spirited as their bond. A year later, on September 7, 2019, the two tied the knot in a private ceremony held on Roloff Farms, surrounded by close family and friends. While the venue was familiar to fans of the show, the event itself was refreshingly non-traditional and intentionally off-camera. There were no TLC film crews, no staged drama, just love, honesty, and the beginning of a new chapter. But what truly sets Jacob and Isabel apart is their conscious decision to step away. They moved off the grid, at least as far as fame is concerned. They chose a quieter life, one rooted in independence, simplicity, and activism. While Jacob has occasionally returned to the farm to help Matt with property projects and construction, he's made it clear he wants no part in the TV business. Isabel, too, has stated she would never be part of the show, and she's remained consistent in protecting her family's privacy, especially after the birth of their son, Mateo, in late 2021. In an age where reality TV personalities often chase influence and attention, Jacob and Isabel opted for authenticity. Their values, independence, emotional honesty, mental health advocacy, environmental awareness, and a rejection of traditional fame, have shaped not just their marriage, but also their parenting and lifestyle choices. They homeschool, live minimally, and share only what they're comfortable with online. Isabel has bravely opened up about her grief after losing her mother, and both have spoken candidly about therapy, trauma, and healing, topics rarely addressed in the public eye, let alone by those with reality TV roots. What emerges from their story is not a tale of rejection, but one of redefinition. They didn't just walk away from fame, they redefined what success means. For Jacob and Isabel, success isn't ratings or followers, it's peace, family, honesty, and freedom. They've created a version of the happily ever after that's not built on fairy tales, but on hard-earned emotional resilience and shared values. Their love story may not be filmed for millions to watch, but perhaps that's what makes it all the more genuine. In a family often defined by public drama and high-profile disagreements, Jacob and Isabel remind us that sometimes the truest path is the quiet one walked hand in hand. In today's deep dive, we're pulling back the curtain on Jacob and Isabel Roloff's relationship, unraveling the rumors of a near divorce that shocked loyal fans. We'll examine the subtle signs many missed, from emotional Instagram captions to struggles with parenthood and personal growth. Was it burnout from stepping away from the Roloff legacy? Was it personal trauma resurfacing? Or were they simply overwhelmed by the harsh realities of young marriage and parenthood? We'll explore it all, what led them to the edge, how they navigated those dark moments, and what ultimately helped them rebuild and reconnect. Because sometimes, the strongest couples are the ones who've weathered the quietest storms. Jacob and Isabel Roloff's love story, though inspiring, has not been without hardship. Behind their serene social media posts and peaceful life away from the cameras lies a series of deeply personal challenges that tested their resilience and solidified their bond in ways fame never could. One of the most heartbreaking moments came just weeks before their wedding in 2019, when Isabel lost her mother. The devastating loss cast a shadow over what should have been the most joyful time of her life. Isabel had always been incredibly close with her mother, and navigating grief while preparing to marry Jacob required extraordinary emotional strength. Jacob stood by her side during those dark days, and the experience only deepened their connection. Instead of postponing the wedding, the couple honored Isabel's mother in quiet, meaningful ways, proving that even in loss, love can shine through. Shortly after their marriage, Jacob shared his own deeply traumatic experience. He revealed publicly that he was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse by a production staff member during his time on Little People, Big World. The revelation sent shockwaves through the LPBW fan community. It was a bold and painful truth, and Isabel's support through that moment was unwavering. She became one of his fiercest protectors and advocates. Together, they built a shield of trust and healing around themselves, learning to cope with the long-term emotional impacts of trauma, not in isolation, but as a team. Financial uncertainty also loomed over their early married life. Unlike other members of the Roloff family who remained in the public eye, Jacob and Isabel chose to step away from the TLC spotlight, and with that came sacrifices. For a period, they lived in an RV parked on Roloff farms, embracing a minimalist, off-grid lifestyle while they figured out their next steps. It wasn't easy, especially with a baby on the way, but the experience taught them resilience, adaptability, and how to prioritize their values over material comfort. Isabel has also been admirably open about her struggles with anxiety and postpartum depression. After giving birth to their son Mateo in December 2021, she shared her mental health journey with honesty and vulnerability. She admitted to feelings of isolation, inadequacy, and overwhelming worry, emotions many mothers quietly face but few speak about so openly. Jacob, again, proved to be a quiet anchor for her. Rather than rush her through recovery or dismiss her pain, he listened, encouraged, and supported her through therapy and healing. Their relationship became not just a romantic partnership, but a safe space for emotional expression and recovery. Adding to these emotional and financial pressures was the challenge of raising their son Mateo away from the extended Roloff spotlight. Choosing to keep Mateo off social media and away from reality TV was a conscious decision rooted in privacy and protection. While this has earned them praise from many fans, it also meant they had fewer resources and less outside help. Parenting without the built-in support of a larger community or family network nearby has been demanding. Yet, Jacob and Isabel remain committed to raising Mateo with intention, giving him the freedom to grow away from fame and the safety to be a child first and foremost. Through grief, trauma, financial struggle, mental health battles, and the challenges of parenting in private, Jacob and Isabel have forged a bond that is remarkably strong. Rather than let these hardships define them or drive them apart, they use them as stepping stones for deeper connection, mutual growth, and unshakable loyalty. Their ability to face life's storms, hand in hand, is what truly sets them apart. For fans of Jacob and Isabel Roloff, much of their relationship has played out not on reality TV, but through carefully curated posts on social media. But in recent months, something seemed off. Loyal followers began to notice subtle but consistent changes, unmistakable signals that suggested all might not be well in their marriage. It started with something as small, and yet as telling, as the disappearance of old photos. Fans quickly observed that several of Isabel's past posts featuring Jacob had either been deleted or archived. Once abundant with loving captions and cozy couple selfies, her Instagram grid gradually shifted towards solo shots, art, and self-reflection quotes. Some images of the two still remained, but the shift in tone was unmistakable. Then came the dwindling frequency of shared posts. Where Isabel and Jacob once shared family outings, farm moments, or updates about their little boy Mateo, those types of posts became rare. And when they did appear, fans noted that Jacob wasn't always tagged and often absent altogether. A photo of Mateo might be posted with a caption about motherhood, but Jacob's name wouldn't be mentioned. Perhaps most concerning to longtime followers were Isabel's increasingly cryptic Instagram stories and tweets. While vague, they often carried deep emotional weight. For example, sometimes love looks like letting go. This one struck a chord. Was she talking about a personal relationship, a friendship, or something deeper, like the decision to step away from a relationship that no longer felt emotionally safe? Healing doesn't mean staying where you're hurting. This message was paired with a sunset photo, beautiful, melancholic, and laced with meaning. To many fans, it read like someone trying to justify or come to terms with a difficult decision. The timing of these messages lined up with Jacob's noticeable silence. He hadn't posted anything about Isabel in months. In fact, he'd been largely absent from social media altogether, save for occasional tweets about politics or farm updates. His usual, dry-witted commentary was replaced with nothing. Fans flooded the comment sections. "Are you guys okay? Where's Jacob? Haven't seen you two post together in forever. Sending love if you're going through something." The speculation only intensified when Isabel posted a now-deleted tweet that read, "People romanticize loyalty, but sometimes staying is the real betrayal." That line, bold and cutting, hit a nerve. Some saw it as a reference to the complicated loyalty many women feel in relationships that may no longer serve their mental health. Others read it as confirmation, an admission that things behind the scenes weren't as picture-perfect as they once seemed. To make matters even more mysterious, Jacob didn't engage with these posts, not publicly. He didn't like, comment, or repost. His silence only deepened the growing concern. For someone as private as Jacob, fans didn't expect a tell-all post. But they also didn't expect complete radio silence in the face of emotional transparency from his wife. One Reddit thread even broke it down with timelines, analyzing Isabel's choice of song lyrics, the deletion of a key anniversary post, and the lack of acknowledgement on Mother's Day or Father's Day. What once seemed like overanalyzing now looked, to some, like compelling evidence. Even small shifts in Isabel's tone felt significant. For instance, one story showed her journaling with the quote, "Sometimes growth means outgrowing people, even the ones you thought you'd grow with forever." There were no names mentioned, no accusations. But in the world of cryptic social media posting, sometimes what isn't said says the most. Of course, it's possible these messages were about something entirely different: Isabel's mental health journey, past traumas, or even struggles with friendships or extended family. She's always been vocal about navigating anxiety and the complexities of healing. But the timing, combined with Jacob's silence, made it hard for fans not to draw conclusions. This chapter in their public narrative marked a stark contrast to the love story many had admired, a couple that left the spotlight to build a peaceful life together on the farm. Now, the farm was quiet. The photos were fewer. And the posts were lonelier. Coming up next, we'll take a closer look at what might have been happening behind the scenes. Was this a temporary storm or a lasting separation? What clues were hiding in plain sight? And how did parenting pressures, past trauma, and the legacy of LPBW weigh into their current reality? Stay with us. While Jacob and Isabel Roloff often presented a united and grounded front, their journey hasn't been without its silent battles, many of which unfolded far from the cameras. A recurring theme in Isabel's blog posts and Instagram captions has been a sense of emotional isolation. Despite being surrounded by fans and family, she's described feeling overwhelmed, unseen, and at times, disconnected from herself. She's written candidly about dealing with anxiety, postpartum depression, and the emotional weight of constantly trying to be okay for the sake of others, especially in the public eye. Isabel has also voiced the emotional toll of being married to someone who once lived a life on camera. She often hinted at the unspoken pressure to appear composed and grateful, when in reality, she felt like she was suffocating under the weight of everyone else's expectations. These reflections weren't cries for attention. They were attempts to reclaim authenticity in a world that tends to sanitize emotions. For Jacob, the scars of his childhood fame run deeper than many fans realize. After leaving Little People, Big World, he spoke publicly about feeling exploited by reality TV. His bombshell revelation in 2020 about being a survivor of abuse during his time on the show marked a turning point, not just for his relationship with the show, but for his own mental healing. Since then, Jacob has been extremely protective of his privacy, fiercely shielding Isabel and their son Mateo from the spotlight. He's hinted at disillusionment with the entertainment industry and a general mistrust of institutions and public opinion. Even though Jacob found love and stability with Isabel, it's clear that the trauma of his early years continued to cast a shadow over their adult life. Trust wasn't something he gave away easily, and fame left him questioning people's motives. Together, they often found themselves fighting internal battles, struggling to balance their mental health with parenting, family obligations, and the baggage of past wounds. In their efforts to distance themselves from fame, they unintentionally created a life that felt isolated, both emotionally and physically. Living in an RV on the farm, removed from the everyday support system most young parents have, magnified these struggles. As fans, it's easy to admire Jacob and Isabel for their bravery and independence. But the quiet moments, the ones that never made it to Instagram, paint a more complex picture. Were they leaning on each other, or simply surviving side by side? Did their shared commitment to authenticity and privacy strengthen their bond, or did it leave them unable to truly process pain together? The mental health toll of being under pressure, especially while trying to stay real in a world built on image, might have contributed to distance in their relationship. These weren't dramatic fights or explosive arguments. Rather, they were cracks beneath the surface, slowly forming in the silence, where emotional needs went unspoken and feelings were buried to protect each other. This period of emotional turbulence raises an important question. How much strain can love carry before it buckles under the weight of everything unspoken? As whispers of trouble within Jacob and Isabel Roloff's relationship grew louder, one unsettling possibility began to take center stage: divorce. Multiple insider accounts began to emerge, speculating that the couple had, at one point, sought professional help to navigate their growing emotional distance. Though neither Jacob nor Isabel confirmed these rumors outright, the tone of their public statements and social media activity during this period painted a complex picture of a couple at a critical crossroads. Alleged sources close to the Roloff family quietly noted that Jacob and Isabel seriously considered separating during what was described as a particularly rough patch. These weren't mere disagreements or minor misunderstandings. They were soul-shaking discussions that forced both to reevaluate the foundation of their marriage. Amid the emotional turbulence, fans noticed a powerful and deeply vulnerable post from Isabel. It read simply, "We've had the talk before. We didn't walk away. That's love." That one sentence hit like a quiet thunderclap, suggesting a conversation had occurred between the two where separation was not only on the table, but considered seriously. Yet something held them together. Perhaps it was their shared history. Perhaps it was their son. Indeed, many point to little Mateo as the anchor that kept Jacob and Isabel grounded during those darker moments. Becoming parents shifted their priorities, their perspectives, and ultimately their commitment to one another. The quiet moments shared as a family, outside the spotlight, may have served as both a reminder of what they were fighting for and a motivator to rebuild rather than retreat. During this stretch of silence, as fans grew more concerned, something else remarkable happened. A wave of support flooded their comments, messages, and even fan forums. Friends, followers, and LPBW viewers alike rallied behind the couple. Messages like, "We're rooting for you," "Stay strong," and "Love takes work" echoed across Isabel's posts. The support may not have fixed what was broken, but it certainly reminded Jacob and Isabel they weren't alone. This period was not about public declarations or dramatic TV moments. It was about quiet resolve. The kind of resolve that forms when two people choose to stay, not because it's easy, but because walking away would mean giving up on something worth saving. And in this chapter of their story, that decision marked a crucial turning point. After months of silence and subtle distance, something shifted in Jacob and Isabel Roloff's story. Fans began noticing a different tone, one of warmth, connection, and vulnerability returning to their public presence. Gone were the cryptic posts hinting at heartbreak or struggle. In their place, moments of gratitude, quiet admiration, and renewed love. One post, in particular, drew attention, a moving Father's Day tribute from Isabel to Jacob. Alongside a candid photo of him holding their son Mateo in a sun-drenched backyard, Isabel wrote, "The man who stayed, the man who grew." That simple line resonated deeply with their followers. It wasn't just a celebration of fatherhood, it was a recognition of Jacob's journey through the storms and his choice to stay, work, and grow alongside Isabel when things got hard. Since then, their social media activity, while still sparse, reflects more grounded peace. They've leaned into their shared values again: therapy, self-expression through writing and art, long walks in Oregon nature, and deepening their family roots outside the spotlight. Isabel often shares snippets from her journaling or poetry, and Jacob occasionally posts thought-provoking takes on life, land, or social justice. It's not flashy. It's intentional. They've also been spotted quietly attending family events or celebrating milestones with other Roloff siblings, without drawing attention or fueling drama. In one instance, Isabel was photographed smiling beside Audrey and Tori during a birthday gathering, even though those relationships have previously been subject to fan speculation. Their message seems clear: unity doesn't always have to be loud. Support doesn't need an audience. Most importantly, their shared love for Mateo continues to be a grounding force. Their son is growing up surrounded by authenticity, love, and resilience. And through it all, Jacob and Isabel are writing a new chapter, one that proves that relationships can weather change, that healing is not linear, and that growth is always possible, even after you've been on the brink. Their journey reminds us that the strongest relationships aren't the ones that never break, but the ones that rebuild with intention, tenderness, and truth. In a world that thrives on spectacle and perfection, Jacob and Isabel Roloff are quietly showing us what it really means to come back home, to each other. Relationships aren't built on perfection, they're built on resilience. And in the story of Isabel and Jacob Roloff, that resilience whispers louder than any headline or social media post ever could. They didn't need grand announcements or dramatic reconciliations. Instead, they showed up, quietly, consistently, and intentionally for each other. While many couples crumble under the pressure of public scrutiny, these two chose healing over drama, presence over performance. They turned away from the noise and turned toward each other, making space for therapy, family, forgiveness, and personal growth. Their silence wasn't absence, it was protection. Protection of something deeply sacred. In a world where every flaw is amplified and every misstep judged, Jacob and Isabel remind us that love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it rebuilds quietly, patiently, and with purpose. Their journey isn't about being picture perfect. It's about being real. It's about choosing love even when it hurts, about standing still when the easier path is to run. Their story offers more than just drama. It offers hope. Hope that even in the quietest of struggles, something beautiful can grow again. That even in the most painful chapters, love can still write a different ending.